help these conditions. But why is soy protein so controversial? It's because most studies do not differentiate between genetically modified, GMO, and non-genetically modified soy. There is a huge difference, folks, between the two different kinds of soys. They are so different. They smell different, they look different, they taste different. And the allergenic component of the genetically modified soy is 11 times as great as compared to real soy as God created it. This high allergenic component with genetically modified soy creates an inflammatory state within the body with a lot of people. They have a hard time digesting it. And once you are inflamed, we just altered the fuel-to-air ratio I was talking about in the carburetors and the motorcycles. Things start sputtering. Inflammation is very toxic to metabolism. It slows down something called a mitochondria within your cells. Mitochondria is like your little nuclear fuel site within the cell that just keeps everything humming, keeps everything going, your fuel source. And when that is followed up, then you will gain weight. You are going to create disease. You will become inflamed. And the nuclear source site, of course, was horrible saying with mitochondria, but it's a fuel site. So take away the word nuclear. So soy protein can be a very good thing. It's one of the important components of something that we utilize, a medical food. The only product that the FDA has been allowed to call medical food, and the reason for it is it is the only food out there right now that's been proven to increase muscle mass, reduce body fat, and reduce weight very effectively and safely in clinical trials. And Ultrameal does have soy protein isolate, but it's non-GMO organic. There's a big difference with that. Yeah? Okay, next slide.
The one thing about that study that you neglected to mention is that in the end of the study, they had said that they know there are differences between China and the United States on the different types of soy, and that one of the studies was also used soy with and without tamoxifen, which is for breast cancer, and they found that it helped support both with and without tamoxifen.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Good point.
The other one is whey milk protein concentrate.
Okay. This is a topic that well, how do I get to this? Milk is very inflammatory for those of us over the age of 10. For almost all of us. It's not if you're allergic to it or not. It's more of how well can you tolerate it. Some people can tolerate it. Note I use the word tolerate. Others do not tolerate it. Others have actually become allergic to it. This, of course, I'm not talking about just lactose problems. Some people have trouble with digestion of lactose. That's a lactase enzyme deficiency. No, I'm talking about an actual inflammatory response that hits the intestinal wall. It is one of the main sources of something we call leaky gut syndrome. Leaky gut syndrome has been embraced just recently by the gastroenterology associations in this country. They poo-pooed it for literally the last 60 to 70 years. It was first used in 1908. That's where we could trace that word back to, in 1908 in Belgium. Leaky gut syndrome is where undigested food particles, especially milk protein, attack the intestinal wall, creating an inflammatory response, creating damage in the intestinal wall. This is a big deal because 70% of our immune system is hooked to our intestinal wall. And when we rile up our immune system, we create inflammation. With inflammation, your metabolism slows. You gain weight, especially around here. You start interfering with how we absorb sugars. You start interfering with a lot of things. But we're talking about weight right now. And anytime you alter the digestive system in a negative way, you will gain weight. That's why I was really excited to hear they'd done the first study on just basic hydrochloric acid. That's one of the components in our stomach to help us digest foods. And hydrochloric acid was given to the over 50 crowd, and on average, without any change in exercise or eating, on average, patients lost 12 pounds in 1 year. just by supporting digestion a little bit. We call that metagust over here. Anyone over 50 should be supporting their hydrochloric acids, because at 50, you're only at 50% of what you were at 20. When you're consuming milk products, you are not breaking it down anymore after 50. In fact, the process starts after age 4, where we start weaning, just like animals in the animal kingdom have to be weaned. We start moving away from milk products. We've been so programmed by the American Dairy Association that milk is good for you. Well, what about my calcium? On and on it goes. Folks, I can guarantee you that we'd be so much better off without these dairy products. Osteoporosis, that's our topic next month, bone health, is not present statistically in countries that do not consume dairy products. So in countries that do not have that as part of their traditional culture, there's no osteoporosis. And that's, again, an inflammatory thing that's attacking the bones. But let's keep it to weight. So milk protein concentrate tends to be very dirty, tends to have a lot of contaminants. The way we raise milk today has a lot of trace hormones in it, and I wouldn't trust this one bit.
May I add with the Metagest, one of the things that we want to do when we lose weight is build muscle. And Metagest helps to break down proteins in the stomach, and that's what helps us to build muscle as well. I picked out also artificial flavor, natural and artificial. You could probably put both of those in there.
I don't think I need to go there too much, except to say that anyone who puts in artificial flavor, the whole product, or colors, all of a sudden that whole product becomes suspicious, doesn't it? It's a new-to-man chemical. New-to-man chemicals damage us in one way or another. It affects metabolism in a huge way. And part of the problem, and you'll hear that later on, with the obesity problem and the weight problems that we have and health problems, is that we have too many new-to-man products in our diet. So,
Vitamin E acetate.
Okay. Why would we choose that one? Vitamin E acetate. This is synthetic vitamin E. Vitamin E, as it's found in nature, are called mixed tocopherols. Mixed tocopherols, as it's found in plants, have something called synergy, where one works with the other, works with the other, works with the other, and that makes the whole compound, and has a totally different action than a synthetic vitamin. That is why there's so many studies out there in this country debunking vitamins. For example, just a few years ago, vitamin A study was put out, and it said vitamin A increases lung cancer. Well, that's funny, because I've used vitamin A for for a couple of decades here. I was going to say many decades. For a couple of decades here, for emphysema, for chronic bronchitis, for my chronic patients who tend to catch pneumonia, I put them on a specific vitamin A. And not E. All of a sudden, could you switch to the next one?
There you go.
Thank you. The vitamin A should not be fractionated out from the plant as a single palmitate. No, there's something called the carotenoids. There's over 150 different vitamin A's out there. And if you take just one of them, you will have side effects. And the study I was just quoting studied just this one. And yes, you're going to get side effects. You're going to get toxicity. And it showed an increase in cancer. Do not ever take synthetic vitamins. Cheap, yes. Bad for you, yes. I'd rather you took nothing. Okay? So same thing with vitamin E. A very well done Dutch study at University of Leiden, which is considered a very top high-end medical school in Europe. University of Leiden found that 12 units of the mixed vitamin E tocopherols outperformed 1,200 units of this synthetic fractionated vitamin E. So be aware of your vitamins.
Thank you. All right, and I'm going to turn it over to you for a short period of time, and then I will jump back when you are ready.
So,
there you go, sir.
So we covered last time also the importance of toxicity, and this is where we left it off, and that's why we all went away so depressed, because how can we live?